Today, we are breaking down the role of the modern-day fullback, a position that is sometimes overlooked, but a position that has ensured success to many teams around the globe. The role of the fullback, game changer, a player that is significantly responsible for giving the team the width, for giving them penetration, and ensuring that he is able to support the team in the defensive phase. So he's a player, firstly, that has to play with the other defenders in a line of 4, sometimes in a line of 5, where he plays as a wingback. But we're going to discuss his role as a fullback in a 4-3-3 formation, okay? So we said he's a player that's very, very instrumental, and the reason is he is a player that comes from an unmarked position. So he gives the team the width that they require. The principles of attack is width and depth, and he is very important in giving them that width. So let's look at his role. What is his role basically? Firstly, his role is to defend against the opposition's winger. And today we know most top clubs in the world have very, very dynamic, explosive wingers which are good in 1v1 situations. So when he executes his role as a fullback, he has to ensure that as the ball travels towards the winger, he's able to close the winger and travel with the ball. The reason being, if he goes too late, the winger will have ample opportunity to get in behind him, and that would cause major problems for the team defensively, which then would force the central defender to go in there, and numerically now you start having problems with numbers in the box, because suddenly you have the attacking team pushing numbers forward, and that can cause major problems. So when the winger receives the ball in this instance, what normally would happen is that the fullback in this regard will close down and use the basic weapon, which is delay. The most important tool that a defender has is the skill of delaying the opponent. Why delay? Because then it allows the central defender to cover, the other central defender to give cover, and obviously the fullback to come over to what we call a line, defensive line, line of cover. So you have pressure, cover, balance. But also the number 6 now would come and double mark him, and this triangle would stop any attack from progressing. So that is why it's so important that he understands his role here. The other role that he would have to ensure that he does very effectively is when the ball is on the opposite side with the winger coming in, he then would become the sweeper, because then these guys will be pulled over, and any ball played into this area which beats the defensive line, he will have to take care of it, because that's where he has to use his aerial ability to clear the ball safely out. So from a defensive phase, that's basically the main task that he will execute. One, dealing with a winger in a 1v1 situation, and secondly, dealing with crosses coming across from this side. When we look at his offensive role, then we got to go a bit further and look at it from a different perspective. If he plays in a back 4 with 3 in the middle, in the offensive phase, he always has to position himself strategically. So if the team is attacking and the ball is being circulated and they're moving into the attacking phase, what would then happen is he would then position himself strategically, because the opposition would defend in a block, a very close block, and he would then have to position himself strategically. I would say if one fullback goes, the normal practice is the other one inverts. But in this case, he will position himself so that when the ball reaches the attacking third and the ball is being circulated by the red players, he will find himself sufficient time that when the red team overloads in certain areas, to isolate this position, he would then find himself able to attack the space down the flank. And then when that happens, it's important to realize that from this perspective, he could bring in an early cross towards the far post, or he could progress the attack, beating his player, if this player is late to close it, down the line to bring in a hard and driven cross, or, as we said earlier on, that the runs from these players are strategic in the 6 yard, just outside the 6 yard area, where if this player goes near post, this player stays on the penalty spot, and now we have what we call the cutback. This is a very, very important tool for any fullback to utilize. So we look at him in different forms. We look at him attacking from a wide position, becoming the extra man. But now let's look at him in as far as his underlapping. When he underlaps, it means at that moment in time, his winger is now occupying the space down the flank and is unable to utilize that space. So what it means now is the winger draws the opposition's fullbacks or keeps them spread out, because now they are worried about Doku getting the ball or Mahrez getting the ball on the right. So suddenly now, this creates a problem for the defense, because now they aren't able to defend compactly. It draws them into a situation where those two players are out of position. What he then does is, with the help of the number 10, he then looks to make runs in, underlapping in between the centre-back and the fullback. He now makes runs in behind because he again positions himself strategically. This guy forcing the fullback wide, this fullback coming over a little bit. His striker is playing in a space here where if the ball is played by him to the striker, he's then able to bounce off that pass, get the ball in and either run in behind, or what could happen is the striker could find the number 8 who can then play the ball over to the winger, and now suddenly you find the wingback making a late run in between, receiving the pass. Now he's able to complement the attack in as far as getting into a scoring position. So this is how the underlap benefits the fullback. The fullback is now able to underlap. Let's discuss the third one, which is a common thing we've been hearing since the time of Pep Guardiola, which is called inverting. Inverting meaning the build-up starts with 4 players, with the number 6, number 10, number 8, number 11, the number 9, and a number 7. So they're playing with the 4-3-3. How the inverted tactic came about with Pep was, he felt that if he inverts the fullback, either right or left, it sometimes can be where both, and we're going to discuss the box defense, he inverts the right fullback by ensuring that they are now able to drive the rest of the team forward. How that works is, when the ball is circulated between these players, the fullback now comes inside, the number 6 here moves wide, the CDM, he moves wide to create what we call a box. Now this box facilitates the attack moving forward, because now this wingback or fullback can also attack. The 7 goes inside, the 11 or 7 goes inside, the 9 goes high, and now suddenly we find ourselves where both the 8 and 10 are able to join the attack, with the left fullback also doing so, which then facilitates a formation, an offensive formation of what we would call 1-4-6 formation. So now you have numbers able to push forward, and we've seen in many games where the likes of Pep Guardiola and some of the other top coaches in the world push numbers forward to an extent where they're basically occupying all the space in the opposition's third, where they probably even at times play that high up the field. There is a risk involved, and the risk involved is that when the opposition win possession back, they may have 1 or 2 players high up the field who can then quickly counter. So this is a risk, but with risk comes reward. So this is the one way of looking at the role of the inverted fullback. The other role of the inverted fullback would be very similar, in that when the fullback inverts, when the ball is played in midfield during the build-up phase, the fullback would invert with the 6, and then what would happen? The 3, the left fullback, centre-back, and the centre-back would form a line of cover. We commonly hear people talk about rest defense. They would form the rest defense and allow the 6s and the fullback to now drive the attack forward. Now we can have the wide attackers, the wingers in that position, the number 9, the number 8, the number 10. And now we also have the luxury of 2 pivots, both becoming more offensive. Because in this phase, when they are offensive, obviously you won't have everybody defending, but the opposition will probably defend with either 4 or 5 at the back, 4 in the middle, against this type of attack. So that is the other way. The one is with the box as we described, the other is with 3 defensive covers, players covering the attack. These 3, your central defender, your left fullback, and your other central defender. Those are the fundamental aspects of overlapping, which we've discussed, underlapping, which we've discussed, and the inverted fullback. The role of this player here in the situation is multifunctional. Lately we've seen the likes of Hakimi from PSG scoring a number of goals, both for his club and for his country, making it such that his role now becomes in the attack one of an attacker. He is no more playing as a defensive player, because in the past we knew defenders had to defend, and the change came about. I think the revolution of the fullback came about with Brazil when they produced world-class fullbacks. I think we can recall the names of Cafu, the names of Dani Alves, the names of Marcelo, Branco. These players really were very instrumental in the success that Brazil enjoyed both at club level and at national team level. Currently, Brazil are struggling to produce players with the similar qualities, with a similar explosivity moving forward, and thus we've seen Brazil not being one of those countries that are dominating world football. So the role of this fullback is critical in ensuring both offensive and defensive solidity, and making sure that teams are able to impose themselves numerically, especially in the last third, where we now find if our fullback in this case is able to position himself between the halfway line and the attack, he allows his team now to push more numbers into the last third. And for example, if he's closed, all he does is they recycle the ball. But at the same time, they constantly are able to keep possession and eventually break the block. So he's just not a player who's able to play those early diagonal balls, which is quite interesting. He must have that ability. He has to have, technically, he has to have the ability to play a long driven pass towards the far post, or to be able to play a well calculated pass from a cross, or to go to the line and bring in cutbacks. The second thing is he must be very good in 1v1 situations. Very, very important, because that is his bread and butter. If he's not good in 1v1 situations, he will be exposed, and he will expose his team. And the opposition will do exactly what we said the fullback should be doing for his team. They will do that to his team in as far as their attacking qualities are concerned. So he has to be, from a physical point of view, he has to have a huge engine. He's a box-to-box player. He's a box-to-box player, so from a physical point of view, he has to have a lot of endurance. He has to have a lot of speed over short distances, over long distances. He has to have a jumping ability to deal with aerial attacks. And most importantly, he has to have the determination from a psychological perspective. He has to have the right mentality. He has to have that never say die attitude. From a tactical point, his positioning in relation to the team is important. His positioning in relation to his teammates, knowing when to go, when not to go, when to delay the run, is all very, very critical. The modern fullback is the most important player, in my opinion, that is sometimes overlooked. We always talk about the number 9, we talk about the number 6 very glowingly, but we don't see the importance of this particular player. For me personally, I think if you have 2 very good wingbacks, the chances are you will create much more opportunities and chances on goal. And if you have a good number 9, you have a chance of success. Sometimes we overlook the importance of this particular player, the fullback's ability to minus defenders. And by that I mean his ability to dribble, his ability to be creative, to beat his immediate opponent. We've seen the likes of Alves doing it. We've seen Marcelo doing it. We've seen Hakimi doing it. We've seen Davis doing it. These are all players that are phenomenally quick, but also have a lot of skill, dribbling skill. So when they attack the opposition's fullback, it now forces the opposition central defenders to move over. And when they do move over, they create a lot of space for the opposition. In this case, the fullbacks team in the attacking phase, they create a lot of space for the 10 and the 8 to move into forward positions. And that means now that the wingback now creates space there as well, so he becomes an option. So if the opposition team are defending this particular fullback, guaranteed they're not going to push the defender to mark him. They'll probably just leave him wide. But what it means now is, if, for example, he beats his opponent, now suddenly you create a 2 versus 1 situation on the side. But also, he has the option of playing an early pass diagonally for his winger on the left to latch onto, for his number 9 to run into, and a simple pass in, and they in behind the opposition's defense. So dribbling is very, very key. No fullback is complete without the skill to be able to minus defenders by dribbling and using his speed to get behind them. If you look at the South African context, we have one of the best fullback in Africa, Mudau. Mudau for me is a complete fullback. But it depends again on the coach's tactical approach, how he wants to use his fullbacks. If he wants to use his fullbacks as attacking fullbacks, because personally I believe if you're playing with 4 players at the back, it would be a waste for your fullbacks not to attack. Because then you're going to be sitting back with 4 players covering your attack, and you won't create the same width, which then forces you to play with 2 wide attackers, which now means down the center you don't have the numbers. When you have a fullback being able to, like Mudau, being able to attack down the flank, you push this player inside, this player can come inside. Now suddenly you have numbers within close proximity to be able to finalize an attack from the wing. So a Mudau is worth his weight in gold. We need to develop more fullbacks because South Africans are not physically the tallest of players. So our best defenders could be our wingbacks. And with the exception of having maybe players a little bit taller, I mean, an ideal height would be 1.7, 1.8 for a fullback. And I think we're thereabouts as South Africans to have that. Mudau is an exception. He's, I think, probably about 1.8. But he gives you that width. He gives you that ability to underlap. I think what has happened at Sundowns is they have schooled these players to become modern-day fullbacks. In conclusion, please let us know what is the next position that you would like us to discuss and to unpack. Also, like, subscribe, and share with somebody close to you who loves the beautiful game.